Welcome along to the BX Networking for Business, quick tips for the team to have an extraordinary meeting. Over the next few minutes, I'm just going to run you through some slides which are going to help you understand how to set up and run a really successful meeting. So about 15 minutes from when you arrive at 7:30 a.m. for a morning meeting, 11:30 a.m. for a lunchtime meeting, and 5 p.m. for an evening meeting. You've got 30 minutes before people arrive. So you need to really have everything set up really well within the first 15 minutes. Because once people start arriving, it's really hard to get yourself organized and it's really easy to make mistakes and to let down your visitors and members with a poor experience. So to start off with, when you all arrive, have a quick 5-minute team briefing run by your area leader. The team briefing has 5 points, and this is: who are the visitors coming today? How many people are we expecting? Make sure you have your 1, 2, 3 cards ready for the meetings. So for the visitors, you actually want to have each of the team members, the area leader, group leader, ops coordinator, and marketing coordinator should all be meeting with a visitor in the third appointment. If there's more than 4 visitors attending, then you start moving into your 2s, and obviously if there's more than 8, into your 1s. So that each of you are meeting with one of the visitors and being able to go through the sales process for BX networking in that third appointment. The fourth point is who is doing the Excite session, to have a quick chat around that so you can help promote that to everybody, especially to the visitors that are coming in the room, and you can talk up and edify the person doing the Excite. And fifth point is you do some power moves, high fives, and take your coffee shots so you get all pumped up and ready to start setting up and welcoming the visitors along. So the first part I want to talk through is the ops coordinator role. Now, you've got to be ready to run from the moment the first person arrives. So you've got to have a really good process for just getting all this happening really quickly. Now, the marketing coordinator, the group leader, and the area leader are all there to assist the ops coordinator have a fantastic process for welcoming visitors and members to the meeting. So as the ops coordinator, make sure you've got all your place cards laid out in alphabetical order, all ready to go. So grab those first out, line them up, and have a look who's coming from Dynamic Sync and line them up in order. Now, often most ops coordinators tell me that they do this the night before. They actually have all the people that are attending that day all ready to go the night before when they're printing off the place cards for the visitors and any passport members. So label and have them all out there. I also think it's good practice to keep your visitor cards separate to the member cards, just in a different line, so that then you can have your welcome books all ready to go with it, and even the number 3 appointment card ready to go with it for one of the ops team as well. The third thing is allocate the number 3s to the group leader, area leader, and marketing coordinator, as well as yourself, with each visitors. Have these cards pre-numbered and ready to go. Have them with the visitor place cards and the welcome packs. Of course, put out any spare visitor place cards and welcome books for anybody that walks in, members and visitors. Now get Dynamic Sync open. So make sure you've got Dynamic Sync ready to go, ready to start checking people off, as well as grab the list from your email that would have come in 30 minutes prior to the meeting start time with the list of unpaid people. I'll run through that in a second. Grab a notepad and record on the notepad the unpaid from the list that I just talked about, the visitors who are coming in, and as they come in, write down any walk-ins. Plus detail down the number registered prior to the meeting. I'll go through this in more detail in a sec. And ensure the group leader is given the script and it's the most up-to-date version of the script. Now the marketing coordinator, all you got to do is a couple of quick things, then you're going to come back and help the ops coordinator get ready for what they need to do. So put the BX banners out. There should be 1 or 2 per venue. If you've got a banner or a flag, make sure one of those goes near the front entrance so that people know when they're arriving where they're going. And make sure there's one in and it's present in a place behind where the group leader or the member Excite will take place. So when people are taking photos and sharing to social media, the BX networking branding is featuring in that social media, which will help people connect with your event afterwards. Now set up the buzz table, make sure that you're telling people where this is when they're arriving, but also make sure the signage is up and you've got the whole ops team, all their marketing material is out as well. And get yourself familiar with stuff as it arrives in so you can talk about any events or promotional offers that are around right now. Make sure you get your charity tin, place it where you're seated, and remember it's your job to maximize the charity funds that we're receiving at each meeting. We want to collect from members as much as possible for any unfunny heckling, but of course if they go over their 40 seconds, we want to rattle the tin and make sure we give that tin to the person to drop their $1 or $2 coin in so we can raise money for SSMRF. And lastly, jump back and help the ops coordinator by managing the breakfast orders and helping with anything else that needs going on there. And the whole team needs to be supporting the ops coordinator, and they need to be acting as the visitor hosts. So when visitors arrive, we're actually allocated to handle those visitors, and we're passing those visitors on to members and introducing them and coming back to help. Okay, so there's heaps going on at the check-in desk, as I've said. The ops person, here's what you need to do to make this process really easy. So grab your notepad and pen. You need to have a notepad, and you must have a pen to help you out. Now make sure the marketing coordinator or somebody's helping you with the breakfast orders and table numbers so that you're not worrying about that. You can just say to people as they arrive here, John here's going to help you with your place your order for breakfast, and I'll just check you in. So make sure the AE, the area leader, group leader, and marketing coordinator are ready and host the visitors as soon as they arrive and swap their business cards. Okay, so having a look through here, this is the notepad that I was talking about. So the notepad, we just write down the list of unpaid people, and we do this prior to people starting to arrive, the unpaid people from the list that's emailed through to us 30 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. So as you can see, I've got 4 names here and I've got 4 names here. So we write those 4 names here. I also have a look in Dynamic Sync. So I have a look at the event and I open up the event and I write down the names of the visitors that are coming in for that meeting. And so that I can identify them quickly when they come in. And I also have a spot here for walk-ins, so people that are walking in. It's going to make my job wrapping up, doing the Excel wrap-up much easier if I've got this information at hand, rather than having to go back in and remember what it was. So the other thing that I'm going to note, and I've written it down here as well, 8 registered, is because before people start arriving, I want to write down how many Dynamic Sync tells me I'm expecting, and that's 8. And so I write that here that there's 8 registered, because when it comes to the Excel wrap-up, having that number there is going to make it nice and easy to fill out the form. Okay, so we've got 4 people unpaid, 4 unpaid, we've got 3 visitors coming, and I'll write down the walk-ins as they arrive. And that's really the whole process to get yourself going and running prior to the meeting starting and as you're checking people in. To actually use Dynamic Sync, you can have a look back at that process there and make sure that you open up the meeting there and you're checking people in there. But when it comes to the Excel wrap-up, now this is really simple, but lots of people get a bit confused when it comes to doing it, but it's actually really, really simple. So let me just run you through the Excel wrap-up nice and quickly here. 5 points in 5 minutes to do the Excel wrap-up. Complete the Excel wrap-up in the Google form. Confirm the venue has charged the correct amount and send the invoice to BX. What went excellent this meeting? What did not go so well this meeting? And what can we do to make the next meeting extraordinary? So the area leader coordinates the Excel wrap-up. The ops team member fills out the Google form. And we all partake in these extra items here as well. It takes 5 minutes to run through these points here. Okay, now really quickly and nice and easily, we've still got this information here from our notepad. So to do the Excel wrap-up is actually really, really simple. So we've got things like this process here, which is the attendees from the event. When they've arrived, we mark them as present. We've got the numbers here from the end of meeting, and we've already seen the unpaid fulfillment list here, which has been written on here. Okay, so how do we fill out the Excel wrap-up? Nice and easy. So the first number we need is the total number registered prior to meeting. So as I said before, that's this number here, which is what we wrote up here. 8 registered prior, pop an 8 in there. The next number is total number attended following meeting. So that's the number that appears on this at the end of the meeting. But we actually need to go into, like before, this list here, because some people might not have showed up. So even though it might be 8 people, we need to make sure that 8 actually turned up. So once we've marked off all the present people at the beginning of the meeting, this will tell us how many people actually turned up. If they're all marked as present, that means that the 8 is actually correct. So we pop down 8 in this box here because we know that all 8 turned up after the meeting. Next, number of registered and not paid. And we didn't know this is simply from the number from the fulfillment list, which is the number on here. Now, a good tip as well is, as people pay you at the door, cross their names off so you know that they've paid you. And likewise here with visitors, once they've arrived, maybe tick them off to say that they've arrived. That way you're kind of keeping control of what's happening in your meeting. But make sure that everybody's been ticked off or crossed off on your unpaid list by paying at the door. Now, there's a couple of people that don't pay, obviously, for the meeting, and those people are your area leader, obviously anyone from BXHQ, and also the Business for Life members. So anybody that's a Business for Life member does not pay for membership, for attending the meetings, or for their membership. That's all part of the Business for Life package. So in this instance here, John Sharman is actually a Business for Life member, Matt's a BXHQ member, and Sandra's an area leader. So we have number of registered and paid online. So we have, number of registered and not paid, 4, so 4 from here. Number of registered and paid online is also 4, because we know that we had 8 people that registered, 4 didn't pay, so 4 hadn't paid. So it's just the difference between that. Number of unregistered walk-ins, we had no one turn up who hadn't paid or hadn't registered, so that's 0. Number of people paid on the door, which is 2. So we actually had 2 people pay on the door. Number of people that paid didn't show, so it was nobody because all 8 who were registered turned up and paid and were in. Visitors and guests, so we had 3, 1, 2, 3. And area leader and BXHQ, we had 2 of them. So we had Matt and Sandra, who were an area leader, and from BXHQ, that's 2 there. That gives us 0. So this should always be 0. Now, if it's not, it's like this one here before, that's because we're missing payment from somebody. And at the last meeting, that was identified that somebody their credit card wouldn't go through at the door, they couldn't pay before the meeting, and we had to do a manual process. So you write any notes below here, so it can be resolved by the accounting department afterwards. So anything that happens or any issues you've got, you can just write a note below here, or put it in the comments, and it can be resolved. So just if you right mouse click on here, you can add a comment and write notes in here. You can direct it to anybody in particular by saying at Matt Alderton or at accounts, and it'll bring those people up and it'll flag it so they can work through that and resolve that issue for you there. So that's how you do the Excel wrap-up. Nice and easy. So you should have all those that were filled out and 0 down the bottom there. So I know when it comes to paying for the venue, I know that I'm actually paying for this number here. I'm paying for 8 people. So ops person, when you're speaking to the venue at the end of the meeting, you're going, yep, just confirming that there's 8 people attended and you're charging me for 8 people, correct? If we're paid by actual physical item purchased, then there should be 8 drinks max and 8 meals max. And so you double check that in both those instances. Okay, so running through the 5 points in 5 minutes again, we've done the Excel wrap-up, we've shown that. Confirm the venues, charge the correct amount and send the invoice to HQ. So when you go to the venue, say, can I grab a copy of the receipt? Take a copy of that, send it to HQ just by taking a photograph and emailing it to accounts@b-x.com.au. And also the area leader just talks about and asks the question, what went excellent this meeting? Let's really try and harness what went really well and make some notes there. Let's also talk about what didn't go so well. What do we need to improve on to make the next meeting extraordinary? And what can we harness from this meeting to make the next meeting extraordinary as well? And so they're the 5 points in 5 minutes. That's the Excel wrap up. Okay, so quick recap. Here we go. Number one, team arrives 30 minutes prior. All 4 team members, area leader, group leader, marketing coordinator, ops coordinator, all in the door 30 minutes prior. We do a 5-minute team briefing. The team all set up. Number 4, we write the details on a notepad. Those that haven't paid, those that are visitors. Everyone that arrives, and we high five and greet all our members and visitors as they arrive. We have an extraordinary meeting, and then we run the 5x5 Excel wrap up at the end. Should take about 5 minutes to do that. So I hope that helps you run an extraordinary meeting and answer any of the questions that you've had previously. But if you ever need to get in contact, feel free to email info@b-x.com.au. When you're emailing info@bx, you actually go through to our support line, and it goes to all of our team members who then manage it through a support service. So you get a much faster response time than by emailing any particular team member or any specific team member. So always email info@b-x.com.au and you'll get the fastest possible response time. Anyway, have an awesome day, and I'll see you all soon.